They're playing our music, Trey.
Dude.
They're playing our music.
And it's Friday. Dude, it is Friday.
It's the
I
freaking
can't
weekend.
wait for this day to get here.
It's the freaking weekend, and we're about to have us some fun.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to start our Friday off because it was a long week for us. We went hard last week with our teams in the playoffs and things like that. I want to share something because this may be in the annals of history as one of the greatest motivational speeches ever.
One of the best pep talks ever. Go ahead and run it for the folks.
Yeah, let me go ahead and run this for everybody.
I will never quit drinking. I will never quit drinking. I will always make sure that I can keep my body healthy enough so that I can always drink. I love seeing a sunrise with a cocktail, seeing a sunset with a cocktail, having friends walk into your house with a bottle of wine, getting on a plane. Can I get you something? Double Jack on the rocks, lots of rocks. I love the moment someone says, hey, we should get a drink. And you're not supposed to. That feeling, it's like a first kiss. You don't get that first kisses when you're married. You get to have those first drinks. At a brunch, someone goes, should we do mimosas? And then the waiter goes, actually, we have bottomless mimosas. And you're like, this is going to be the best day ever.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
Dude, I want to run through a wall right now.
Oh, man. The great Bert Kreischer.
That got me so hyped.
The Al Pacino inches speech has nothing on him.
Nothing at all. You know what he said that was important, though? I'm going to stay healthy enough so I can drink.
Healthy enough
so he has his priorities in order. He's going to work out with the one motivation, the one outcome. He's going to work out just enough so that he's okay drinking.
You know the videos of like Ivan Drago and Rocky IV, and he's on the treadmill and they got all the wires pumped to him. He's on there with the beer helmet.
Right.
Thing coming in his mouth, just running. Just running. Dude. But in honor of Bert Kreischer and that amazing speech, we're going to get our weekend started off.
Let's go. It's Friday. Why not?
Shall we do a little bit of naughty water?
I got.
Oh, you're already
my tequila. They say if we're talking about staying healthy, tequila is the healthiest of all liquors out there. What I was told.
It's happy hour by the time this is airing today, so
yeah.
Let's get happy to the happiest of hours, my guy.
Cheers. Cheers, my guy.
Oh, yeah, it's warm. I don't know about down there. It's cold up here. And that just made all my insides feel good.
Well, it's kind of cold down here, too. It's like 45, a little wind. Like I had to put on a jacket today. It wasn't cool.
Weren't you outside playing tennis? Weren't you just outside playing tennis the other day?
I was cold playing tennis. It was a little chilly. I couldn't wear shorts. You know?
You're getting soft.
No, I've gotten soft since I've gotten down south, man. I pride myself, a Midwest guy from Indiana, from Fort Wayne, repping Fort Wayne, Indiana, by way of Northwestern University, played in Pittsburgh. So I've been in all the elements.
In the frigid.
I appreciate the seasons, but moving down here in Atlanta with these knees and these ankles, these
it's good for the joints. It's good for the joints.
So good not to have what you're having up in Columbus.
Your head coach Mike Tomlin had a press conference. We'll get into that. I have another clip I want to play. We're going to talk some college stuff. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we got games this weekend. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of all the sports stuff, I wanted to ask you. So I'm at the radio station this morning. Mm-hmm. My other job, the other thing that I do for money.
Okay.
But I'm there, and so I get in there early as all can be, and I got to run to the printer to get something off the printer. And this is like, I want to know like some of your most, and I'm going to tell you mine because this isn't embarrassing, but it could have been embarrassing. And I was in such a vulnerable way. Okay. So we have random bathrooms throughout the building. There's 4 radio stations in our building.
Uh-huh.
And right outside my radio station, there's a bathroom, but it was occupied. And then there's a couple other ones, but there's one like mixed, like big bathroom that, like you can't shut the door and lock. on the way to the printer. So I was like, okay, I'll just hit that one then. Going down there. There's a urinal in there. I go in there, go to the urinal, and I'm standing there doing my thing, and my pants just drop to the floor,
Ooh.
like midstream, midstream, and it's the group community bathroom, and I'm like,
oh,
it's like
cheeks out?
7:45, yeah, just cheeks
All
in the
cheeks.
air, and I'm just like,
and it's the
man,
wintertime, so they're just pale cheeks. Just
pale, no
color.
bronzer. There's no bronzer on them. But you can't stop midstream, ladies. You don't know the plight of being midstream and having to cut off. You can't pinch it off. There's no such thing. And you're 3 cups of coffee deep by this point at 7:45 in the morning. And I'm just sitting there like, God, I hope nobody from sales or one of the other radios. If you walk in, you're just getting ass all in the face right now.
All in the face.
Because the urinal is like literally right next to the sink. And I'm just standing there just. Luckily, I made it out unscathed. Nobody got a glimpse of the goodies. And but I was just sitting there, I was like, man, that might be one of the most vulnerable positions I've ever been in. Thank God I wasn't in prison. And
you didn't drop the soap.
That was what it felt like. It was
That's what it felt like. You were just vulnerable.
I was just exposed.
You felt
and it was one of those. It was one of those like. It wasn't like one of those quick, like, okay, get in and out, 7-second peas, you're out the door. It was one of those like you've been holding it back for 40 minutes.
Enough, huh?
You're standing there like, when are you gonna stop? When's it ever gonna end? And yeah, so quickly drop down, pull the pants back up. But I guess I need to eat a little more. I need a little more ass. I need a little more cake back there because they just fell down.
Do some squats. You need to get in the gym. Get you some deadlifts in, working those hamstrings.
But I've got others. Yeah, but I know we were kind of talking, and you have an embarrassing story or a vulnerable story.
I have plenty. And a lot of them come after I've had that Good Friday drink. But one of my sober embarrassing moments, so the greatest theme park in the world, a lot of people don't know this because
Cedar Point,
hands down. Better than
I didn't know I had no idea that's where you were going with that, but okay.
Yeah, Cedar Point's amazing. And I used to go all the time growing up from Indiana. It's only a short drive from Fort Wayne, 2 hours. It's better than Disney, better than any other Six Flags, all the best roller coasters, right? So I hadn't been to Cedar Point in years, technically since I became an offensive lineman. So when I was a tight end, I could ride all the rides. I've been able to ride the rides since I've been like 6 years old. I've always been tall enough to ride the rides.
Which that scars a lot of people. Like I have other friends who are like, I'm 6 foot tall, but I didn't get to 6 foot tall until later in life. I'll tell that story in a little bit. But I have other friends who 6'4", 6'6", and they won't ride rides now because they were like forced on them when they were younger. So the fact that you embrace it is awesome.
I've always loved roller coasters. And so I hadn't been, just from football, I hadn't been to a theme park in a while. So we go to Cedar Point, take the kids, and I'm hyped. I was like, I ain't been on the Magnum. I haven't been on the Millennium Force, all the best roller coasters. And so we get like the Fast Pass. We're up there with another family and their kids. And so we're all in line, 8 deep. We're going to get in the first 4 rows of the roller coaster. I'm going to get in the front, of course, because that's the best place for thrill seekers to get in the front of a roller coaster.
Fast Pass is clutch, too, by the way, at Cedar Point. You're every bit so 2.5 hours.
And so we get to the line. I get ready to get into the seat. And the attendant's kind of looking at me funny, like, okay, how you doing, sir? What seat do you want to sit in? I'm like, I'm going to sit in the front. Like,
front row, baby.
Front row. He's like, okay, do you know you got to make sure the shoulder harness clicks in for you to ride? I was like, oh, duh. That's what it's there for. So I get in there thinking that everything's all Gucci. I get into the front seat. I try to put it on. It's not going down all the way. And everybody's just waiting and looking at me. Everybody's clicked in. Everybody's ready to go. Everybody had been waiting for hours because, there's only so many people that could get in the fast lane. And then the rest have been waiting for 2 hours. And it was like, okay.
Yeah, 2.5 hours. It's a 2-hour wait.
So I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, sir, something's wrong with your shoulder harness. It's not coming all the way down. Something's wrong with your shoulder harness, sir. It was like, okay, we're going to try to get you in, sir. I know you've been waiting to get in line. And so 3 attendants come over, and One of them takes a running start to try to close the shoulder harness over my shoulders. And they're huffing the puppy like, sir, I don't think it's going to work. Would you not mind exiting the roller coaster and just waiting in this area over here where nobody is at and everybody can just stare at the fact that
so now they just put you on display
to ride this roller coaster. So Mike, you know how there's just like that ambient noise, just everybody talking.
Yeah.
And dude, while they're doing this, everybody's quiet. Everybody's just looking at
so
me.
they can hear everything.
Dude, I've never been so embarrassed in my life. And that just
it's not even like you could go. It's not even like you could go to like another seat.
No. I was like, do you have a seat for big guys? No, they discriminate against big guys at roller coasters. They should have a special seat for guys that are 6'5", because it wasn't even a stomach thing or a length thing. It was my shoulders were too big. But I later found on the other ones that do the waist ones, I can't ride those. I can't. When they try to do those little testers in front of the roller coaster line, like I don't even try to get in there.
And that's insult to injury because you done bought the fast pass. You're all excited to ride the roller coasters.
So that just it brings me to my point. Like don't get me wrong, I love being a big guy. Ladies love big men, you know, more pushing for the cushion.
That's why I chose to be one.
Been self-proclaimed the round mound of Pound Town. Like I've done. I enjoy being a big man. It comes.
That's fantastic.
It comes.
I'm putting that on a T-shirt. I am putting that on a T-shirt for you to wear around anywhere.
It comes like buying shoes is an issue. Size 16. I'm trying to find tennis shoes. They don't have tennis shoes anywhere. Along with the roller coaster things, there are so many things that big men can't do comfortably. Sitting down in chairs and getting up in chairs without
the ones that sit too low to the ground.
When it sits too low, and you got to get momentum.
You rock.
You got to rock to get back up. These are the issues we got to deal with.
Oh man. So first of all, I need to take a drink on that.
Yeah, man. It's rough out here.
I got no cubes either, and I don't like drinking my bourbon neat.
Ooh,
but
it's warm.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this. First of all, that park attendant was an asshole.
Yes, like you knew,
because he knew exactly. Like
you knew I wouldn't be able to fit. You
right?
Like somebody's done this before. I appreciate the effort.
I get you're trying to be. Yes, I get you're trying to be polite.
Right.
But your politeness has now led to more embarrassment and more vulnerability now because I'm standing here twiddling my thumbs while did your family still go ride the?
They did, and they had the time of their life. It was like it's the best roller coaster ever.
And then all day they're like, best ride ever, Dad. You should have went. You should have checked it out. For people who don't know, like at Cedar Point, there are certain rides like Top Thrill Dragster, Millennium Force. During certain times of year, if you don't have the fast pass, they like have a DJ set up playing music at certain points and speakers just to pass the time for everybody waiting in line because you were legit there 2 to 3 hours waiting to get on this 1.5 long ride.
This is my first experience having the fast pass. I thought I had got the Willy Wonka Gold ticket. Like this was awesome. Like
it was your
this
world.
Is when nobody thought that you need the fast pass. Like everybody buys the fast pass now if they're planning ahead.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the fast pass could be longer than what it's intended to be. But this was a time when fast pass was new. I thought we had made it. We were going to get through all the rides and be done with the park in like 3 hours, which never happens. Wrong.
See, I used to go to Cedar Point for Halloween stuff because nobody wanted to ride them in the cold. And this was when I was a skinnier, svelter version of me. I found an old picture. My phone yells at me all the time about not enough storage.
Oh yeah, it's doing that now.
So so I've got like 10,000 pictures on my phone. So I went like all the way back to the first year I had an iPhone and started deleting photos and some of the stuff in there. And I found an old team picture from when I played football on there. I actually tweeted it out last night, and I was so little. I was so little. First of all, I was front row. I wasn't 6 foot tall yet. I had a neck. That was a good time.
That was
But like
good time.
it was, but it's so funny because like I'm a recently acquired big man. I'm
Okay.
learning all these things now. So I'll tell the
You're
little
late to the
story.
game.
I'll tell a little story. My wife hates this, by the way. My wife absolutely hates this. So on my ID, it says 6 foot tall on my driver's license. And when I played, like I was 5'11", like my whole life. So like all of high school or most of high school, 5'11", after high school, 5'11".
Mm-hmm.
And when I played football, under 6 foot quarterbacks didn't, unless you ran like a 4.40, you weren't playing quarterback. So not only was I under 6 foot, I ran a 5'1" 40. So it was not a good combination. So fast forward in life, I think 28. And do you know what the Gus Macker basketball tournaments are?
Oh, I've won Gus Macker before. I love
Yes.
Gus Macker. Yeah.
So they had one here in Columbus, and all my friends know how I yearn to be 6 foot tall. And you know how they weigh and they take your height and weight when you check in. And I'm standing there, they check me in, I'm 6 foot. It says they write 6 foot on my paper. And I took a picture. From that point forward, I was 6 foot tall. I don't let the doctor check my height. I put 6 foot on my ID. I turned to my friend who saw them say 6 foot. And he was like, "You look like a kid on Christmas Day at 6 years old who just got that bike." He was always like, so yes, I'm a new age big man. And then I was like, well, I'm going to be 6 foot tall.
So you haven't really had to deal with all the big man issues yet.
No, this is like a last 10-year type thing. But let me tell you about it. We have a 30 and up basketball league that our town had, and I played in that. My rebounding numbers went through the roof after I got 6 foot tall.
You just instantly became more aggressive, right?
I was talking mess. We were closing the game out, and you know how like a guy will shoot the free throws and the rest of the team will hang back. I went up there. I was the only other guy on offense. I was like, I'm getting this offensive rebound and closing this game out. And sure enough, skied it.
It's a way you got to grab rebounds and make it intimidating. Like you can go up, grab it with two hands. When you grab it with one, you smack it.
Yep. And you feel good.
And you hold it above everybody because you're 6 foot down. You just hold it above.
Because you're 6 foot. So yeah, that was but no, those are our, and we'll have many more embarrassing stories, but those were our stories of vulnerability. I was just standing in that urinal, and I know exactly how you felt. You standing on the side waiting for your family to get through with the roller coaster.
Dude,
I know exactly what was going through your head.
That ride was like one of those. It was like a 2-minute ride, which is a long time for a roller coaster, and because they had 3 trains running, and so when the next train came on, there was a couple behind me. He's like, "Dude, I'm sorry, man. It's so messed up. Like they should really have a cart for you big guys. Like you big guys."
I'm going to start a petition, and I'm going to join your movement.
Discrimination, man. So,
somebody else who probably felt a little bit like we did, the Steelers reporter, who again we talked about it on the last show. Don't think she did anything wrong.
Yeah,
but your boy Mike T, your boy Mike T had a press conference again and addressed some things, and I know you want to get some of that off your chest.
Yeah,
you thought.
He started it out funny, actually, with a little bit of levity.
That means he got good news. Yeah, it means he got good news from the owners.
Let me just bring you into our world for a little bit. It sucks.
Please do.
Losing. Like it hurts. And when you've been in a game a long time, like Coach T has, 17 years and counting, you learn how to compartmentalize and you learn perspective. And so, but no matter what, when it's fresh, when you lose a game, you are pissed. And one of our obligations is to talk to the media. We get it. The media is our conduit to the fans. The fans want to know how coaches and players feel after games. That's all fair because the fans are the reason why players and coaches get paid as much as they do. It's why the NFL is the best sports league in the world because our fans are rabid and they deserve to know at least a good portion of what goes on and what happens at the end of a loss. And so Coach T has been well reviewed, well documented, walked off when he got asked a question by ESPN's Brooke Pryor
It was how he walked off, though. That was funny.
was how he walked
I'm
off.
I'm
He's like,
not gonna lie, it was.
but the thing is, it was the end of the presser already. He had already
Right.
went through a whole bunch of questions.
It was, dude, I'm out.
Brooke Pryor asked, she started off like, you have 1 year left in your contract. She didn't even get to the actual question part.
Right.
Coach T heard it, walked off.
I'm out.
No questions. He was pissed. He was mad. And it's like, and when we think about it, how could he have answered that question? Like, it was
no, and we talked about it the other day before we talked to Aditi, and it was she did nothing wrong asking the question. I don't think he did anything wrong in how he avoided the question. Right. She did her job. I agree with him, and he said in his presser now there's time and place for everything.
Right.
That's probably not the time and place, but you know what? What if she doesn't get an exclusive with him, or somebody else breaks the story before she does, or the report before she does, and she didn't get a chance in a room with Mike Tomlin to ask the question?
Right. And like the media loves Coach Tomlin by and large, for the most part, because he's great up there. He is probably the greatest coach when it comes to
very
a press
candid
conference of all time. He's candid.
Other than Mike Leach, R.I.P. Mike Leach. I love Mike Leach.
But he started out the presser by saying, any contract questions? I'm in a better mood today, so ask. Yeah. And so he had already confirmed that he's coming back this year, so that's kind of where it came from. But he hit on some things that I think Steeler Nation was eager to hear about. And the main thing, I think, was the offensive coordinator search, which has been a much maligned position for the Steelers the last 3 or 4 years. And not just this year, but the last 2 or 3 years. And we've always exclusively under Tomlin's tenure promoted from within. He would bring in a quarterback coach, and like Randy Fichtner was under Bruce Arians, when Bruce Arians was his original offensive coordinator. When he left, Randy Fichtner became the offensive coordinator. When Randy Fichtner got let go, when Randy Fichtner got hired to go to OC, they brought in Matt Canada to coach quarterbacks. When they let Randy Fichtner go, Matt Canada became OC, so on and so forth. So the first time ever in Coach Tomlin's tenure, he opened up about his search for the offensive coordinator position. Let the public know that he's going to look outside the building for an offensive coordinator, which I think is a great move, because one of the Tomlinisms that he says is that we won't keep on doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, because that's the definition of what? Insanity.
So
he took a page from his own book and was like, okay, we're going to do something different. And he's going to look outside the building for an offensive coordinator, which I think is great news. And Steeler Nation was happy to hear. Secondly, the quarterback position coming into the offseason. What were we going to do then? I did not want to hear. He did say this. One thing I did disagree with. He said Kenny Pickett was going to be QB1 going into the offseason. I get it. You got to have a depth chart because that's for the media as well. It's fine that he names him quarterback 1. But the one thing that I really want to hear, the most important thing that I heard, was that he said it would be a competition. So he's going to bring somebody in. He may bring Mason back. Mason is a free agent going into this year.
But Deontay wants that.
Yeah, Deontay definitely wants that. We heard that from him. Mason is probably going to get signed back. I can't see him not getting signed back from Pittsburgh, and I can't see him having a big market elsewhere. He did earn himself some money with his performance, but I don't think he gets the interest from anywhere else that he will get in Pittsburgh. So I think he'll be back. And then hopefully we'll bring in another vet, a proven vet, maybe trade for Justin Fields, maybe bring in Kirk Cousins. Baker's probably off the table since he won a playoff game. I can't imagine Tampa not signing him back. But those are the two options I think we go. I think Dan Orlovsky actually mentioned the same folks. And so it was good to hear in the presser that there will be a competition at the quarterback position. It's important to me.
Well, it's important to where you're going to go as a franchise. I think the last part you just hit on is why Mason won't be back, because they are going to bring somebody from the outside in. He's already gone down that route where he sat back, and then they bring in a Mitch Trubisky, and he gets shuffled into the inactive list every week. And if you're Mason Rudolph, and we can put a pizza on this, or a bottle of Bird Dog, or whatever you want to fancy, but I would bet that Mason will not be back with the Steelers.
Oh, we're betting that. I bet you he gets signed in the next 2 weeks.
You have inside knowledge.
No, I don't.
Okay. As long as we're not doing some insider trading.
No, that would not be fair. I would not do that to you. I would not do that to you.
But I don't think he will be. I agree with you that he probably has the best chance to be a starter in Pittsburgh, but I could also understand where Mason looks at the situation in Pittsburgh. Like, I've already spent 5 years here, 6 years, and I need to find somewhere else to go.
Has never had the fanfare that he has never had the support, and honestly has never played as good as he has the last 4 games.
Well, and they've constantly rolled him under the bus and looked for somebody else. And if you're going to
memory in the NFL, the thing
but
is,
you can go somewhere and get a fresh start. When you look around the league, again, I agree with you that Pittsburgh's probably his best chance to be a starter. But I think you can go.
Go ahead.
I think he can go to. At the end of the day, if he realizes he's not going to be the starter in Pittsburgh, because it's still an uphill battle in Pittsburgh to be the starter. However you want to shake it, they still invested a first-round pick in Kenny Pickett. And he's going to get every chance to succeed, especially with a new offensive coordinator, because Canada is the scapegoat. So Kenny Pickett will be, unless you get a Justin Fields or a Russell Wilson or somebody who's already been a starter in the league, Kenny Pickett will be your starter day one with a new offensive coordinator, period. You can give all the lip service you want.
So Kenny Pickett's going to be a true competition is what you're saying.
No, I don't. I don't think it's going to be a true competition at all. So now if you start comparing backup situations, there's a ton of other backup situations that are more appealing to a Mason Rudolph than Pittsburgh, because they will, like you said, still bring in a veteran backup. And now you're looking at being that guy on the inactive list. Or you go to Washington and you back up Sam Howell as they transition into whatever, because I think Jacoby Brissett might be the guy that you guys should bring in as the veteran backup, to be 100% honest.
I would actually love Jacoby Brissett to be our starter.
Or you go to Carolina because Bryce Young is tiny and he could get hurt at any minute. Or if the Bears draft Caleb Williams or a new quarterback, you go to the Bears, be a backup quarterback there. Go to Denver if they're moving on from Russell Wilson. Like, there's just a lot of other opportunities, I think, now for Mason as a backup quarterback. Not so much a start, but as a backup quarterback in the league that wouldn't have him buried on the depth chart again with a bad taste in his mouth like he has in Pittsburgh.
Okay, so I disagree. This is why we're going to place a bet on this, and I disagree because it's about timing. I think Omar and Tomlin will meet up, and then before free agency hits, which is like March or something like that, they'll offer Kenny a contract that will give him pause. Say 2 years, $10 million. I think that's a fair contract. 2 years,
give him that kind of money,
$10 million with the first year guaranteed. I think they will. I think with Kenny being on a 4-year, $18 million contract, it will give, if they offer Mason that money, and I think they will, and they're making around the same, Mason will go into this offseason thinking that he has a legit chance to start. If we're just looking at numbers. Also, I think they will try to offer this contract before free agency hits in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And if they do bring a vet, it will be later down the line. And so Mason will already be signed, sealed, and delivered. And then he won't be, even if they do come across a better situation later on in the offseason, he's already there. And so
I think if the money's similar, even if it's a little less, if you look at Chicago, Washington, the Giants, the Jets, there's probably 6 to 8 teams where even if it's 2 years, $8 million instead of 2 years, $10 million, I think Mason would look for that fresh start.
All right, my man. We shall see.
So we'll come up with the terms on this. We got a couple weeks to come up with what we're going to wager. Man, we're some degenerates.
Yeah, we are.
We're just some straight. I need a drink.
Oh, you finished it off. You gonna pour another one?
So warm.
Go get some ice, man. You don't have any ice?
Listen, we're going to circle back to these big man problems. That's all the way upstairs.
Oh,
I'm in the
stairs.
basement.
I'm
in the basement.
Dude, I try to avoid stairs at all costs. All costs.
So the house where you had come over to my house with the basement I had before, which I miss that house. We moved our kids into a different school district.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit inside knowledge into how particular I am. got a nice little basement in my house now. That's where I set up shop right now for the Pod Me Up episodes that we do.
Yep.
Got Tony Soprano back there throwing the bones, throwing a little dice. Is all degenerate all the time in my house. But for whatever reason, the toilets in the house that we're in now sit lower to the ground.
Oh my!
Now, I don't know how you feel about this. If you haven't partaken yet, it's revolutionary. It's game changer. You need to, but the bidet will not fit on my toilet in my bedroom. It only fits on the toilet in the basement. So I have to come down 3 flights of stairs to do my business when I go to the bathroom.
Dude, you speaking my language. Just, there's not too many things that I enjoy more than taking a good number 2.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite things to do on earth. Every morning.
I get to watch it. I get to read the news
I can
on my
catch
phone.
up on so many current events.
So much
what's
TikToking.
going on in sports. Yeah. Like I learned everything. I gained so much knowledge when I do a number 2. Because
how Bert Kreischer feels about drinking, I feel about dropping a good deuce.
A good deuce. It's nothing
but
better
finishing
than
with the bidet.
up in the pool.
You have to finish with the bidet. And if you haven't.
And so when we moved into this house in 2021, December 2021, one of the first things I had to do was swap out the toilets. Had to swap out the toilets because we moved into a house with normal sized people. And I'm not a normal sized human. And so they had normal sized toilets.
Cedar Point proved that.
And so I can't sit on a toilet where my ass sits below the level of my knees. My knees need to be like, everything needs to be like a 90-degree angle.
You
like,
can't have them hiked into your chest.
In order to get good leverage.
Yep. Because it feels like you're doing a cannonball and taking a deuce at the same time.
Right. If your butt's below your knees, that's not a good pooping position. And so you have to be perpendicular, or not perpendicular. You have to have a good 90-degree angle in order to rid yourself of all the waste that does not belong in your body. But the one thing that this family did have, and it's in the master bedroom, my man, go ahead. It's in the master bedroom, is they have a bidet, but not your normal bidet. They have a what looks like a hose with a attachment. You know how people water their gardens?
Oh, yeah.
One of those as your bidet. So you feel so squeaky clean after getting rid of all the nastiness of your body. And then you get it all out at the 90-degree angle at a toilet that's at the right height for you. You get the hose and you just clean yourself out.
Let me tell you what.
Out. And sometimes, this might be TMI for all the folks out there. Sometimes, I mean, it's just like a good, what's it called? Like a colon cleanse. Like the water shoots up there. And sometimes it gets stuff that you didn't even know. Like it didn't come out with the initial pushes. It just comes out.
And mine has the warm and
but it's awesome.
Mine has the warm and cold option for the water.
Oh yeah. Ours is always like a lukewarm 82 degrees, which is still a little chilly when it hits.
But
listen, shock to the system every time.
I feel like that scene in Step Brothers now. Did we just become best friends talking about bidets?
Dude, bidets are game changers, man.
They are.
I don't know how I live without it. You know how much toilet paper we save?
Not just the toilet paper. First of all, I'm a very stingy bidet man. Nobody else is allowed to use mine. It is mine.
The wife doesn't like it. I don't understand.
No, I know, but it's so I get anxiety when I go on vacation. And I know that I'm going to be, if it's more than a couple days, we got a cruise coming up soon, 7-day cruise. I'm already like, how am I going to work my way around this? Because I'll go to Vegas for 3 or 4 days, eat all the nastiest food and drink all the drinks. And I'm like, before I kiss my wife and kids, when I walk in the door, I go to the bathroom and I just get home.
You just need a personal door to go from the outside of your house straight to the bathroom.
Look, my wife found a travel bidet. You fill it up with water. It's not the same thing, but it does the trick for when you're out of town.
I need to look these things up, man.
So I'm you can call it gross, but at the end of the day, we're here giving you a PSA to make your world better. We care about. I tell people
things that everybody on earth does. And
people look at me
through the day with feeling clean as a whistle. There is nothing better to get him.
People will look at me like, "Oh, you're gross." I'm gross. You're still living in the freaking 1500s, you knuckle dragger. You're not getting clean. There's no cleaner.
Clean.
No,
Yeah.
there's no cleaner feeling than using the bidet. It's phenomenal.
You still have
Best
streaks
thing
in
ever.
your underwear. That's probably what you have. You got the
You're not fresh and clean.
Yeah, we're doing you a favor, but I'm glad we can get that out, man.
Transitioning. This is odd, but we will send each other little TikToks and stuff back and forth. And I found one that I didn't send you, and I want to play it for you now because we were talking about the big man game and how impressive it is to be an athlete. I forgot this existed. And somebody shared this clip recently on a TikTok, and I did not send it to you because I wanted to play it here. But it is Draymond Green trying to play tight end in the spring game for Michigan State. So take a look at this.
He's a little excited out there.
Oh. There was another play where they threw him a pass. And you remember when your kids were really little and they're running through their house in a diaper?
Uh-huh.
That's what Draymond looks like running in football pads. It's like lumbering down the field.
So, like, Draymond is one of the best basketball players to ever play. And he's a different type of NBA player, unique.
He's one of the few with the build and body that you would think would translate to the NFL.
One of the few that you thought. And for somebody who played both football and basketball coming through high school, basketball being my favorite sport, but knowing that my body type would be better suited for football, I've had the chance to play against some NBA caliber players. Got a chance to play against Zach Randolph in Indiana growing up. Got a chance to play against Jared Jeffries growing up. Basketball players are soft as shit. They're so soft. And so it does not surprise me that Draymond looked like that on the football field. I do appreciate the fact that he went out there and tried to do it.
Yeah, he had some fun. Gave it a shot.
6'7", he's about, 240, 250.
Yeah.
As far as prototypical tight ends go, that's what you want. But there's a mentality that comes with playing football that basketball players just don't have.
No.
And it's okay. It is all right. Everybody stays in their lane. But the one sport that every football player says they could have played, and you see a lot of them. You see Terrell Owens playing basketball a lot. You see your boy Myles Garrett out there dunking on the poor souls at Lifetime Fitness. Like, I don't know why he does that.
I see him dunking on the Bengals offensive line doing his crossover.
Right. He does that too. So that just brings me to this question about which professional sport actually has the best athletes. Athlete is also a very controversial term because everybody has a different definition. And so I will define what I think an athlete is. Somebody that has the ability to pick up a new sport and be good at it. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you're the fastest. It doesn't necessarily mean you jump the highest. It doesn't necessarily mean that you lift the most. Which football sport contains the athletes that could really transition to another sport and at least be competitive at it?
It's football. Because it takes little bits of all the sports and mixes it together in a lot of ways. Hand-eye coordination. You have to be able to run and catch and throw at the same time. But we see it. We see football players transition to baseball and basketball and other sports. I've not ever seen, you'll get a track star come out and try and return kicks every now and again, and it doesn't go too well. But you don't see guys who were basketball players transition to the NFL.
There's a few, and there's only one position that really does it.
It's tight end. Antonio Gates is the one that comes to mind.
who was a baller at Kent State.
He
Absolute
was.
baller. Made it to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. Him and Wally World. Wally
But
Zerbiak.
yeah, it's Wally
But
Zerbiak.
It's rare, right? You got Antonio Gates, you got Tony Gonzalez, who played basketball at Cal, but he was a horrible basketball player. He wasn't. I mean, he was good enough to get a Division I. So I'm not saying.
Well,
horrible.
yeah, there's lots of guys that have played. It's not. And when I say it's football, it's not that it's not this monumental gap.
Right.
Like it's not like this huge. Like I think football and basketball are very close.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll put it this way: you do a celebrity softball game, right?
Right.
Football players can hold their own.
Right.
Basketball players look silly sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
So I'm thinking of it in not in terms of who's the most athletic, but who can hold their own in multiple sports the best. And you'll see football players, they'll either play basketball or wrestle, then they'll play baseball or run track. They'll play volleyball. There's just a lot of different avenues that they'll go down. And a lot of this, honestly, I blame on things like AAU. Like kids only play one sport.
Yeah,
anymore.
the specialization of sports.
Yeah.
Is a thing. Yeah.
But no, I would say football.
So when you look at basketball players, they are the ones that usually jump the highest, have the best side to side, the quickness.
They test the best. They're the good test takers, and the football players are the ones with the street smarts and who do good every day.
Right. And so there's certain positions like tight ends. You'll see a lot of offensive linemen and D linemen can play basketball, can wrestle, can you'd be surprised, play golf, this guy. play tennis, this guy. But like to your point, there are obviously more to select from in football. And you do have football players that can only play football. There are some linebackers that can't do anything else.
Right.
Play football. You put a basketball in their hand, they don't know what the hell to do.
Well, a lot of it is body type, though, too. Like the football player's body type, it lends if you cut weight here or there, you can do other sports. Basketball players, not so much. So they're normally tall, and like Kevin Durant isn't playing wide receiver.
No.
Even though he's tall and fast, he will get rocked in the sternum one time. Done.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
The ability to take a hit is a skill within itself, and there's not a lot of basketball players that can do that.
Now, as we move to flag football and 7-on-7 football, because I think that's going to be an Olympic sport, right? Is either 7-on-7 or flag football is going to be an
2028. Yep.
Yep. So that levels the playing field. But football, as we know it, and again, it's the same concept, but rugby. Guys who play rugby can do a lot of different sports.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you this. Let's go back because I think we both agree the football players are the most not like you said, not they're the most athletic, not like testing, jumps the highest, runs the fastest, but I like to refer to them as closet athletes. You put a football player on a basketball court, he can hold his own and play basketball most of the time.
Right. You
put a football player on a volleyball court, he knows how to play volleyball. You put him on a soccer field, he can play soccer. You put him on a baseball field, he can play baseball. That's what I mean by it. Not that he's going to run faster, jump higher, whatever than a basketball player.
And another thing to add on to that, basketball players who have made it to the NBA usually have only played basketball.
Yes.
In the NFL, most guys, by and large, on a roster play football, but they play a whole bunch of other sports.
Dion, Charlie Ward.
In high school. Ronald Curry, Allen. Well, I was about to say Allen Iverson is one of the few NBA players that I know that played quarterback and was really good at it in high school. They said he could have been an NFL quarterback, but it's few and far in between. But to see Draymond go out there, it proves my point. It proves our point that football players are probably the better athletes. Yeah, basketball players probably have more skill And skill versus athlete, that's a whole nother topic we could do a whole nother show about because
Oh, absolutely.
but
Well, then you start putting golfers in the mix.
Yeah.
John Daly's not athletic at all, but he has more skill with his left hand swinging through a golf club than any of us will probably ever have.
yeah, and nobody can match his drinking hand. His right
Man,
hand drinking.
I want to play 18 holes with John Daly so bad. Like that is one of my dreams. I just want to hear the stories that guy has to tell.
I heard a clip of him saying that he went to vodka to stay healthy. He went to just a bottle of vodka a day versus bourbon because he wanted to be healthier.
My dude's out there playing barefoot.
By the way, golf is a sport, a damn hard sport at that. So,
well, we'll have that conversation later because I think we have the Summer Olympics, and I want to get into that when we get closer to the Olympic Games on what is and what isn't a sport. But I want to ask you this, kind of on the same topic of what we're talking about now, because I think you might answer the same way as I will. But playing a pickup basketball game, who was your least favorite type of person to play that, they played another sport? So a bunch of guys from your school are playing, and you got guys from the baseball team, football team, basketball team, track team, whatever. We're all just playing pickup basketball. Who was the guy, that archetype, that you hated playing pickup basketball with? He played another sport.
If I'm being honest, I hated playing wrestlers.
Yes.
I hated
100%.
Dude.
They foul the shit out of you, and they never stop.
And even when they're not fouling you, if you're posting up and it's a bigger wrestler,
their
lower center of gravity. How they manipulate staying beneath you. You can't. They're good at it. I mean, but
wrestlers are the worst to play basketball, and nobody has the stamina of a wrestler. They don't stop. Not even soccer players.
And they don't care about scoring. That's the one thing. They don't care about scoring.
They're out there just to run.
They don't care about rebounding. They just care about making your life a living hell on the basketball court. Yes. That's why they're out there.
It's the one thing, like you're looking around going out to match up. It's like, I know you're not going to score, but I'm not guarding you because you're going to elbow me 42 times. My mouth's going to be bleeding by the end of it. And I'm going to have to run around here and chase you. Not it. I'm good. This was back when I was only 5'11". I was choosing to guard the 6'6" guy.
Explains a lot. There you go.
But no, wrestlers by far were the worst to have to play pickup basketball with.
We had a
soccer and track was close.
Well, track guys, yeah. Well, I hated having track guys in my team because those guys are like really fast, and then they try to dribble, and they will always lose the ball out of bounds. Always. They try to dribble the ball up court all fast. It will go off their foot. Track guys, I love them during track season, but as a football player or a basketball player, they usually did not adapt very well.
It didn't translate.
It did not
translate very well.
Right.
With go ahead.
No, I was about to say, like, at Northwestern, we had a couple of buddies across the hall from us who were wrestlers. Cool as shit. If you want a drinking buddy, nobody's better than a wrestler.
Really?
Nobody's better than a wrestler because wrestlers can put them down. And
that's shocking.
Every single wrestler is an angry drunk.
They starve themselves, so you would think they have no base to like be able to put it down.
No, they can put it down. They put them down, and then they want to wrestle you.
I'm out.
I was like, no, I don't want to wrestle.
I'm all the way out.
Like,
I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want even the smallest wrestlers because they just know things. They know pressure points. They know that
they know how to get that little cartilage in your ribs.
Right.
It's like Mr. Miyagi. They just touch you in the neck and you're paralyzed for 42 minutes.
So I'm not messing. And they always go after the big guy. That's like their favorite target. They want to test themselves to see if they can take a big guy. I'm like, no.
And now like the UFC and MMA guys and stuff like that too. Like that's the telltale sign. When I was younger, now I'm too old for these games. But you're in the bar, people start talking about, cauliflower ear, I'm out. I'm not fighting that guy. Nope, not happening. You got it. I'll buy you a drink. Let's solve this civilly, and I will buy you a round.
Speaking of cauliflower ear, dude, I got a story that's going to transition us into our next topic, actually. But at Northwestern, which I am a little nervous about speaking about anything in the locker room when it comes to Northwestern with the all season we had this past year. But this is at least a little bit ways from that. We used to have boxing matches in our locker room at Northwestern. And so we used to actually get gloves, and then we get the team. We would match up O linemen versus D linemen, DBs versus wide receivers, running backs versus linebackers, and we would box. And the only rule is once somebody draws blood, you lose.
Okay.
And
Simple enough.
It was fun. And so it was me versus my good buddy. I'm not going to name his name because he's going to be pissed if I tell him that I took him
knocked
out.
him out.
Yeah. And so I was a very strategic boxer. Like kind of like how I play basketball. It's not quite finesse, but like I'm not just
savvy.
With straight
We'll call it savvy.
Yeah, I was fundamentally sound. I was a Tim Duncan in basketball, and I was let's say a Lennox Lewis type boxer, you know.
The round mound of Pound Town, you didn't get that nickname on the basketball court.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But no, in the locker room we were boxing. So I would like try to like people who never boxed and you put them in a boxing situation, they want to go for the haymakers. All the time.
They're swinging from out here.
Swinging from out there.
All of this is open because they're.
And I jabbed. I was like, okay, I'm not going to try to knock you out. I'm gonna soften you up a little bit. I'm actually going to do body shots. I'm going to be technical about this. And so our boxing matches were like 2 rounds, 2 minutes. That's all you had. And it would exhaust the hell out of you. Don't get me wrong. Boxing is tough. But, dude, we get into the boxing ring. We'll call this dude Mr. G. Mr. G. Mr. G is on the D-line. He used to be an offensive lineman, recently moved to D-line. I called him a traitor, so I called him out. So we boxing in the locker room, and I'm jabbing a mess out of him. And he goes for a big left hook. I duck. I come with a right hook straight to his damn ear. Dude, he didn't know it, but he developed cauliflower ear like 2 weeks later. I had never seen that. And I was like, what happened to you? You did that. You did that. I was like, my bad. Man. My bad.
Protect your ear next time. Keep that offhand up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Good old Northwestern Wildcats, man. We had some fun times in that locker room. But
the Wildcats.
The Wildcats.
Standard nickname.
That is a standard nickname, man. It's way too many Wildcats. There's the Arizona.
Oh,
Wildcats.
they're all over the place. Tigers, Wildcats. They're so overused.
Yeah, but there are some names out there that I don't understand why they're with a particular team. Like usually you would think that a state, especially a school named after the state, would be their nickname or their
like
mascot
Buckeyes.
would have something to do with whatever is that state's motto or state bird, state animal. What the hell do Wolverines have to do with Michigan?
I don't know. They're just ratty little animals that nobody likes.
What is elephant? What the Crimson Tide? What the hell
That's
does
a
that
weird
have to do
one.
with Alabama? And then why is Crimson Tide? Why do they have an elephant
right
as their mascot? What does that have to do with Crimson Tide?
Green Wave for Tulane.
Auburn Tiger, but they yell War Eagle.
That's right. Oh, it's in the South. You gotta give them a little leeway down there.
What's another one?
Ironically, all the Florida schools make sense. Florida Gators, Florida State Seminoles, Miami Hurricanes. The only one that doesn't make sense is Golden Knights.
I mean, that's just a random one. I could deal with a random, like trying to be like cool type nickname, like that's completely out the box. I get
like
that.
even USF Bulls. There are a lot of bulls in Tampa. It's weird. Bulls and ox and stuff like it's weird.
The South Carolina Gamecocks, like fighting chickens. Like I don't get that. I lived in South Carolina. I was. They
added the game to it for obvious reasons, Trey.
Yeah, you can't.
They couldn't go down that slope.
Right.
What else is there?
Some other ones like Indiana Hoosiers make sense. I don't know where Boilermakers came from for Purdue. Like, there's no kind of
the train
factory.
I really don't know. I've not spent a lot of time in Michigan, but I didn't know that Wolverines, like you said, were a heavily seen animal up there.
I mean, I've been in Michigan. I've never seen a Wolverine, and
Buckeyes make sense. Bearcats in Cincinnati is cliche. Tennessee Volunteer.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's some history behind that. I'm not sure what it is.
A Tar Heel.
That's a play on the North Carolina, what they call
the
themselves,
tobacco,
right?
right?
Maybe. I don't know. It's a whole bunch of confusing nicknames out there. Dude, I saw a clip on Instagram. He was talking about the Buffalo Bills, right? There's not a damn.
Yeah.
What is a bill? First
It's
of
a
all,
buffalo. It's a buffalo, I guess.
it's they said they named it after somebody that used
Yeah,
to hunt
Cowboy
buffalo.
Bill or something like that. Yeah.
Used to kill bison. So they named
Yeah.
their buffalo. They named the Buffalo Bills after somebody that used to kill buffalo.
New York Giants.
Steelers make perfect sense. I don't know why Cleveland are the Browns.
Because of Paul Brown.
Oh, he just named it. That's very,
Named him after himself.
very pretentious of just a name.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
It's funny what goes into making nicknames, but they stick, right? Alabama Crimson Tide.
And you know what? The pros make a lot more sense than the colleges, which is even more interesting. Because the colleges are the ones that have been around forever. So you would think they'd be more inclined to like go with things in the state. And
right. Something more traditional because they've
right.
been around. Yeah. More customary. But
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's
see, I feel like just NFL names are just random nicknames that kind of flow with the name of the city, not necessarily anything to do with that city. Pittsburgh.
You know who I got to run this by? I got to run this by my wife because this is how my wife picks her March Madness bracket every year. One year it was like the UC Santa Clara Banana Slugs or something like that, and she was like, "I'm picking them." I was like, "To go to the Final Four, you're picking
the Final Four.
They're going to the Final Four. They didn't.
Northwestern's going to the Final Four this year, by the way.
But you know what she did get? Those weird little 8 and 9 seed teams that like get to the Elite 8 every year because she picked them by the name. Yeah. She'll get like 1 or 2 of them every single year. And I'm like, so now I do 2 brackets. And I'll sit there. She doesn't know this, but I'll sit there in our living room, look at the lineup for like college basketball or the NBA, and I'll just start rattling off names. And whatever one she picks, that's what I bet on my FanDuel app.
Well, shoot, you need to get her to go ahead and pick the cool names for this weekend's matches.
NFL, I'm on it. I'll screenshot it to you because we got some fun.
We got some. Now that our teams are in it, we got some good matchups this weekend that we will still watch football, even though our teams aren't in it. There's only 7. Brody, there's only 7 football games left.
That
makes me sad.
Why'd you just now I got to drink again?
That makes me so sad. On Saturday we have Houston and Baltimore, which I think that's going to be a real good one. And then that night we have San Fran and Green Bay.
See, I'm worried about the weather because I know what we're getting here. So for 4:30, let me look it up now. What's Baltimore looking like?
I don't think it's going to be horrible, right?
I hope not. And luckily, they're on turf, right?
They're on turf, yeah. I hate
it's just going to be cold.
It doesn't bode well for Houston, but
no, but at least it'll be dry. I was more worried about them getting. So we've gotten a bunch of snow and rainy crap here the last couple of days. So obviously, as that moves east, I thought that they would be dealing with that like during the game.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be cold and dry, but.
Well, their main offensive, Stroud and Collins are Midwest college kids, so
yeah,
they're at least used to playing in the elements somewhat.
Houston was getting 9.5 too.
Ooh, 9.5.
I took that.
Baltimore's not great at home. They're not great. That's going to be interesting because I think Lamar has something to prove. and everybody knows. And I think he'll get
He
the
has
best
to, yeah.
effort from Mark Andrews is coming back. His
He's
number
not.
one. Oh, he's not coming back now?
Yeah, they said today, as of right now, he's not playing this weekend.
Well, Isaiah Likely has been a beast for them since Andrews has gone down.
That'll be the tight ends will be the key because both of them and Njoku had big games against both of those teams.
Right.
So our prop bets this weekend, tight end city, baby.
Tight ends.
Let's
Dalton
go.
Schultz and Isaiah Likely all day.
Yep.
Zay Flowers has to have a good game for them to have anything, because if that CJ Stroud Nico thing keeps going like it's been going the last 2 or 3 weeks, Baltimore's in trouble, because that defense for Houston has gotten better each and every week. They are formidable at this point.
Yeah. And D'Amico Ryans is a good coach.
Yeah. Dude, he game plans excellent. Like the game plan he had for Cleveland was excellent.
Phenomenal.
And so I'd imagine
it led to Cleveland cleaning house. We have no offensive coaches now.
Yeah. No offensive coaches. All because of
literally the only offensive coach is being retained right now, like as far as major positions, is the wide receivers coach, which I don't get because our wide receivers have not progressed in 5 years.
Dude, only Amari Cooper, and he was already a proven commodity.
Amari was already Amari. The wide receivers have not progressed and gotten better.
I'm surprised the running back coach got fired. I mean, y'all keeping Callahan, of course, because he's the GOAT. But
I think that they're going to finally do the smart thing though and build the offense around Deshaun Watson, because it was alarming how much better Joe Flacco performed coming off the couch than Watson has in 2 years.
Yeah. And Stefanski kept feeding what Flacco did best.
So
he did. And so that was eye-opening. But let's not get off on a tangent on your Browns, because that's easy to do for you. Go ahead and drink to that. But dude, I think honestly, Lamar Jackson's going to win the MVP this year.
He should.
I got Houston winning this game.
I hope so.
I got Houston winning this game, and then
I think they cover for sure. 9.5 is a big number in the playoffs.
Yeah, it is. And I just don't. Houston is not a defense that makes a lot of mistakes. They're a sound defense. They don't have the star power or like that one player that's a game wrecker, but they just all play well together.
So I'll be honest, short of the 49ers, I think the two teams that were going to be in the way of Houston winning a Super Bowl, or I'm sorry, not Houston, Baltimore winning a Super Bowl, was Cleveland and Houston.
Yep.
Because they were both teams that could score with them, but also put out game plans that could neutralize them. They're not going to stop Baltimore, but they could keep them to kicking field goals.
Exactly.
And they could keep them to under 25 points and also score enough to do that. I don't know. I still don't. Josh Allen played the game of his life against the Steelers. And we've seen that before from Josh Allen, but he never plays that clean.
That clean, yeah. He played that clean against Kansas City two years ago.
2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
Which was one of the best.
So that's how far.
Yeah.
That's how far in between it's been.
Yeah.
So I still can't trust Josh Allen to play that clean if they're going to keep running their offense the way they do, because the Bills' defense is beat up as well.
Right.
And I think Houston's defense is better than the Bills' defense. So I think Houston covers for sure. I hope they win. Right now, it's transitioned.
Do you think Baltimore's like, put your objective hat on and not your hate for Baltimore? Who do you think wins this game?
Baltimore.
Okay. All right.
I think Baltimore wins. I think they win just because of the pretty much 3 weeks off they've had.
I think that's going to be a detriment, actually, in this case. Because I think a young team like Houston, with the momentum they're playing with, is better suited to keep that momentum going versus a Baltimore team that's not very old. I think they have their main pieces are young. Outside of Mark, their O-line is young for the most part.
Well, I think I agree. I think it's better for both. I don't think there's one that it's good for and one that is bad for. I think getting Baltimore the time off, mostly Lamar the time off,
right,
and Houston continuing to play, I think it benefited them both equally. It wasn't like a this or that or one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think, though, had Baltimore been playing the last 2 weeks, the two teams that I think Houston would have been in a better position, like you
Yeah.
said, being the young team, keeping the
I agree with
momentum
that.
and continuing to play.
I agree with that.
But it's funny because when you look around the league at the teams that kind of like Dallas was as hot as can be, they stomped Washington,
Right.
and then we saw what they did against Green Bay in that gross performance, which earned Mike McCarthy another year. So,
Yeah. But we got to give, and this is another young team, the youngest team in the last 50 years, I think I heard, in Green Bay. And what Jordan Love has done. They played San Francisco, who everybody considers the best team out there, despite the fact that they got demolished by Baltimore. Everybody thinks this is the year the 49ers win the Super Bowl. Green Bay they're so young, they don't know what they don't know. And they're just going to play.
I think the Super Bowl winner. I think the Super Bowl winner comes from the AFC regardless.
Right.
And I'm letting you into how my life works, Trey. Tampa will be in the Super Bowl. I'm going to have to watch Baker Mayfield play in a Super Bowl.
Dude.
There's no rhyme or reason to it, but that's how my world works.
The Browns' misery, man. Everybody.
No, it's my misery.
Your misery, Browns. I'm sure other Browns fans think the same. But Baker, I think Baker's a good story, but they lose. They lose to Detroit, and I think they lose by 20 points plus.
I hope whoever wins that game, which I also got Tampa with 8.5. Because I got on these early. When I saw those giant lines going into a divisional game, I took every single underdog in the points and I put them in a parlay.
Dude,
I got 9.5 with the Packers. I got 8.5 with the Bucks, and I got 9.5 with Houston, and I put them in a parlay.
Which one is Green Bay? Well, I know that spread is probably double.
9.5.
It was
9.5.
I'll take Green Bay in that one. Yeah.
But I hope the winner of Detroit Tampa goes to the Super Bowl for the NFC.
Yeah, I don't want San Fran to go. Like this, it's a little bit of haterade in this, but I am tired of everybody loving up on Shanahan. And it's kind of like everybody who loved up on McVay when he first got to LA. I get it. They're offensive geniuses. They're doing a great thing.
I'm tired of seeing these teams I'm tired of seeing these organizations that the world just shines on their ass all the time. Green Bay's one of them. Look at the jersey of quarterbacks the Browns have had. And now you got Jordan Love, after Aaron Rodgers, after Brett Favre. And San Francisco made what would have been the worst trade possibly of all time. Yeah. And they're bailed out by Brock Purdy.
Somehow you're bringing us back to the Browns, right?
Then they somehow have, I don't know where they get their picks and their salary from we're just going to trade for Christian McCaffrey midseason last year. Oh, while we're at it, let's swindle the Commanders for a 4th round pick or whatever it was for Chase Young. Somehow they
didn't swindle
all of this stuff.
Chase Young ain't that guy.
He hasn't lived up to being a 1st round pick, just like Jadeveon Clowney hasn't lived up to being a 1st round pick. But you put him opposite Nick Bosa, where he doesn't have to be that guy, and he's a pretty good second end.
I still think Randy Gregory's a better pass rusher than Chase.
I do too.
Yeah,
but it's still like the only thing San Fran doesn't have are defensive backs and depth.
Mm-hmm. But even with a full. That defense hasn't been great. As much talent as they have,
because their defensive backs are terrible. It's for different reasons.
One of them made an All-Pro. I forgot his name. Was it Ward? Did
he make it?
All-Pro team? I think so. One of their secondary made it, and obviously Fred Warner is the real deal. Warner and Greenlaw. That's the best combo in the league.
That's the best. Close. The next closest would probably be Baltimore's.
Yeah, Raekwon and Patrick. Yep. But Fred Warner's a beast. Greenlaw's, it's kind of like what they had Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. Very similar in the sense that Greenlaw doesn't get as much credit as he should because he's living under Fred Warner's shadow. Kind of like Bowman was under Patrick Willis. But very, very good linebackers, which are going to give the Packers issues. But Jordan Love the streak that he is on right now, and he gets overshadowed because he's not technically a rookie, even though for all intents and purposes, this is his rookie year. He got a chance to sit behind a Hall of Famer for 3 years, and he had a slow
he's
start.
not a he. I hate when people do that. He's been in an NFL system, getting NFL reps in NFL film room for 3 years. He's not a rookie. I'm not saying you do this, but people are like, he should win Rookie of the Year. No, he's not a rookie.
No,
he's not a rookie.
They're doing that in the NBA with Chet Holmgren.
Yes.
I don't like.
You're not a rookie.
You're not a rookie. You have an advantage over the other rookies, the true rookies that are come out that year. But Jordan Love and those bevy of young receivers, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen out of Michigan State. Jalen Reed. Jaden. Is it Jaden or Jalen?
I think it's Jaden.
Jaden Reed. And there's another rookie. I forgot his name. They got Christian Watson, who was supposed to be their big play guy, but he's kind of like their fourth receiver now. And
he looks like a tight end now.
Yeah. And then they got Luke Musgrave, a good tight end who's had some good moments. And so Green Bay has a lot of talent. They're going to be good for a while. And I think there's an outside chance they can make this a game. I think San Fran ultimately wins and makes it to the NFC Championship. But I think they definitely covered the 9.5. And I think it's a good game.
I think they'll cover the 9.5. I think the over will hit. I think it was 45.5, maybe 44.5.
Yep.
I think the over hits. I'd have to check. I'd have to double check that. But I think the over hits there. Detroit, Tampa. So we picked the games last week and we laid eggs except for because we agreed on all of them except for the Tampa and Eagles one, and I took Tampa.
You took
that
Tampa.
Eagles team. It had nothing to do with how Tampa has played or has been playing. The Eagles are just a mess.
They're a mess, dude. And
it was just a dumpster fire.
The collapse that they had, I don't know if unprecedented is a word, but it's damn close. Like it was rare to see a team off a Super Bowl loss
start out so hot.
Start out 10-1, right? And only win 11 games total for the year.
And then people thought they were going to run away with that division.
Get demolished.
Yeah, it wasn't close.
Demolished.
Didn't score a second half point.
Barely got in to the playoffs.
Didn't score a touchdown. Didn't score a second half point. Just
Yeah. But got to give Baker and crew credit. I was talking about this earlier. We talked about the quarterbacks that Pittsburgh might have a shot at. Baker's going to be a free agent this year. I don't think there's any possible way Tampa lets him go. No way.
No, they'll at least give him a 2 or 3 year deal.
He has earned it. And as far as there are intangibles that quarterbacks have, we talk about Kenny Pickett and his leadership qualities and whatnot. Nobody like that you can feel so tangibly through the TV screen has that leadership, that moxie, that gravitational force that Baker seems to have,
and he's
for whatever team that he plays for.
Like Baker's just a guy. Like he's that guy that would party all night at the frat house and just like he's just, I guess, charismatic. And it oozes through.
It comes across as very genuine. Like I used to get, I hated seeing all those damn progressive commercials for Cleveland. He hadn't won a damn thing, and he was on TV constantly. But he was great in those commercials. They were funny. They were very funny. But
it's like somebody being drafted first overall or in the first round when they have no business being. Are you going to say no and turn down the money? They're coming to you to do this stuff.
No, I get it. I get why
you don't say no.
I just hated seeing them.
But we talked to Aditi about it, and I think it's understated. People don't realize how much. I was okay with the Browns moving on from Baker because I didn't think he was going to win Cleveland a Super Bowl. And I've said this to you a number of times. I think Baker was the right guy for where we were at, but wasn't the right guy for where we were going. Where we were at, coming off 0-16 and all of that garbage, you needed somebody that was just his temperament. Like, I got a chip on my shoulder. I'm going to prove you wrong, yada, yada, yada. And the problem with Baker is Baker's not a good front runner, so to speak. He thrives in being ahead and stuff, but when it then becomes expected, when the expectations get there, is when he falters.
Yeah.
So
saw that at the end of the Tampa Bay season, they were hot. They got back into it.
Yep.
Last 2 games, he laid eggs, and they
Baker is one of those. When you look at his stats in a vacuum, it looks like a really good season, and it was for him. He earned, like you said, he earned his paycheck that he's going to get, and it was a really good season for him. But having seen this for 4 years, the stats are misconstrued because the highs are so high. Yeah. He's going to go 3 or 4 games with putting together 80% completion percentage and 2 touchdowns, no picks, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and then he's going to do 2 or 3 games in a row where it's 14 of 33 for 130 yards and no touchdowns and 1 pick and sacked 4 times because he held onto the ball too long. Like there's zero, and that was the problem in Cleveland is you didn't know which Baker you were going to get week to week.
Right.
When it came to the team needing to take the next step. There were a lot of things that I think he was scapegoated for, wasn't put in a position to succeed with what Stefanski was doing with him while in Cleveland. But the ultimate, what it came down to, why I was okay with Cleveland moving on from him, was because he wasn't the right guy to take the next step. Now, I didn't believe Deshaun was going to be either, and thus far it's proven out to be more of a disaster than it was worth. But I understood the thought process of ownership and management. Thank you for your time. You dug us out of the depths of hell of our quarterback situation. You stabilize the franchise, but it's best for both parties that we find the guy to take us to the next step, and you go find out what's best for you in this world. And it's business, and that's just what it is. But it's almost like you start a business, and you're a one-man show, and your business is blown up, but you just can't do it on your own anymore, so you have to bring in a CEO to help run the business. That's where the Browns are at now. They got to bring in those guys that are going to take, just making the playoffs isn't good enough anymore. And Baker was that guy who was, the ceiling was just making the playoffs, maybe winning a playoff game.
Just no matter what, this conversation keeps on coming back to the Browns.
You did this, man. You did this.
I just said Baker. You just went into a whole little dissertation about the Browns and the CEO of this. And
I got a lot to say.
I know.
I let you get yours out during all the Steelers talk and Tomlin press conference earlier.
You deserve this. You deserve this.
It's still a fresh wound.
It's just interesting. I'm watching you talk, and everything's, when it comes to Baker, anything Browns related, it comes back, and I get it.
It's got to. It's got to. But I don't think that they'll win this week in Detroit.
Yeah, I do think Detroit wins. And then the late game, the game with the quarterbacks that the NFL loves to hype up against. They want to make them the next
Patty Mahomes' first road game.
Yeah. Patty Mahomes versus road game. Kansas City versus Miami last week looked like they figured out something offensively, something that they could work with.
Well,
they know they have a great defense.
Let's preface this by saying that if Philly wouldn't have had such a historic collapse, Miami would be being talked about right now just like Philly, because their collapse was god-awful too.
Yeah, it was bad too. It was really, really bad. Once people got used and saw the Mike McDaniel offense enough times, like their second half of the season was not impressive.
No.
They hung 70 on Denver.
Once Tyreek got hurt.
And everybody was talking about him. But their second half of the season, like it was a steady decline. But Philly's was such a massive decline that Miami's got overlooked. But Kansas City came in, and Miami dealt with losing their best DNs, like in back-to-back weeks. They lost Bradley Chubb, who shouldn't have been in the game in the first place to an ACL. And they had already lost Jalen Phillips like the week before. And so they had no kind of pass rush whatsoever. It's not an excuse. That's just what happens in the NFL. Their offense sucked. So the defensive ends not being there had nothing to do with their offense not producing the last few weeks. But Mahomes and their offense looked like they saw something. Rashee Rice is turning into a number one receiver. Kelsey was dropping passes left and right in that game.
He's been doing that all season.
Yeah, this has not been his best season. And so it's not going to be any easier in Buffalo where the temperatures are going to be cold. Not as cold as they were in this Pittsburgh game, but they're still
Always
gonna be
comes back to
cold.
the Steelers. Every time we talk about a team, it's got to come back to talking about your Steelers game.
I only said one word. I didn't
Because you got it out earlier.
Yeah.
We don't got to qualify it by saying it's not going to be as cold as the Steelers had to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we do. If any, it's not going to be as cold as the game they played this week. Is that better? Is that the game they played earlier in the week? But yeah, so they have a cold game again. Kansas City, it's not going to bother them. Be playing in the cold, and I think they figured out something. Like they got to go as that defense goes. They got to hand the ball to Pacheco, and when big plays come, they got to take advantage of them. But for the most part, I think Mahomes has adjusted to the fact that he does not have an explosive offense, and that kind of reminds me of when Brady won a Super Bowl handing the ball off. When they had Corey Dillon and the year not Corey Dillon, when they had Legarius Blunt.
LeGarrette Blunt and Danny Woodhead.
Danny Woodhead, yeah. James White, like all those guys. Steve Bowden.
I agree with you about Mahomes. The question is, will Andy Reid accept that? Because we know Andy Reid and his propensity to call pass plays.
Yeah.
We saw it all the time in Philly. And when I look at this game, I'll be honest, I think the team that wins this game will be whichever coach doesn't lose it for them.
Yeah.
Will Buffalo's game plan, because one of those two coaches is going to try to base the game around their quarterback and let their quarterback play hero ball. And I think whichever one does that loses, because both teams are better off featuring a game plan that features the run, having a game plan that features the run game first, not the pass game.
Well, we both know who's more prone to try to put everything on their own shoulders.
That Josh Allen is.
Josh Allen is more.
Josh Allen is, but
I don't think that's a coaching thing that happens with him.
But what
plays are called.
Josh Allen can also do is run the ball himself.
So can Mahomes.
But it's not QB power. It's Mahomes is in a scramble. It was a pass play. I'm going to run because it's there. So
every now and again they'll call it. They don't call nearly as many design quarterback runs for Allen, but yes, like when he ran for that 52-yarder versus the team he played earlier this week.
Yeah, we're going back to that now. We're going to keep going back to that. Let me just go ahead and clear it up for. Let me just go ahead and clear it up for your Steeler Nation. It wasn't a fake slide. That wasn't a fake slide.
That was him bracing for the hit that didn't come.
It was him bracing for the hit, and you've talked about the field there. It's slick, so he was chopping his feet to slow down and look which way to go, and then everybody. It wasn't a fake slide. There's been a ton of Steelers fans all week long talking about Josh Allen's fake slide. We got to stop this stuff, and we got to get this out of the game, and blah. Which is ironic given who your quarterback is.
I don't even know. I'm not going down that rabbit hole because it just pisses me off. We got to just tackle. Damn it. We got to tackle his ass. Like, there's no excuse. Like, that play looked nothing like the one that Miles Jack got called for a penalty, even though it wasn't a penalty.
Remember your pressure points. Remember Usa.
But let's get back to the issue at hand, and that's Josh Allen versus Mahomes.
I agree with you. They'll call more called runs for Josh Allen, though.
But there'll only be a couple. Like, they're both great at improvising and picking up.
They'll have 8 to 10.
Yeah, 8 to 10.
Josh Allen he'll have 8 to 10 called run plays.
No, he'll have like 2 or 3, like design run plays for him.
Yeah,
no, I think he'll have 2 or 3, and then he'll run and improvise 3 or 4 more times.
And they'll utilize RPO more too, which then turns into runs for Josh Allen for whatever reason.
Yeah, but
Mahomes, that's what I mean. That's what I mean about the game plan being, it's whichever team. Because Kansas City, more so than I like James Cook, but if you do decide I'm going to turn around and hand the ball to Pacheco, and Kansas City's got the better defense too. They have a better defense than Buffalo.
They do.
If you decide we're going to run the ball first and throw off the run, you can still have Mahomes throw the ball 25 to 30 times, but establish the run game first. Come out
Right.
featuring the run game, and
Yeah.
then build off of that.
Right. I agree. At the end of the day, I think Kansas City wins this game. I think they go to their 5th straight AFC championship. Is it 5 straight? I think
Yeah.
Mahomes is going to be that dude that just goes to the AFC championship game like every single year because he's
Donovan
just
McNabb,
that good.
but he's won a couple.
He's won a couple.
I think the Bills win.
You think the Bills win at home? Okay.
I think the Bills win. I think the Bills win that one. We've got we've given you a couple bets to take. Take the points on the underdogs.
Yes.
Take a little 225 plus passing yard parlay for Baker and CJ Stroud because I think they'll both be behind, so they'll hit those.
I got one parlay for you that I want to tell to the people that I think is almost a guarantee to hit, and it pays pretty sizable.
I like to hear that. That means it's not going to hit. Go on.
Saturday, Zay Flowers over 50 yards.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson over 225.5.
Passing.
Yes.
Okay.
On Sunday, this is all the same parlay. So it's a multi-games, same game parlay. Tampa, Mike Evans, 70 plus. Trey Palmer, 25 plus. Receiving yards for both of them.
Let me go ahead and we're going to lock these in. I wear many hats, one of which is being Trey's bookie.
There we go. And then the late game on Sunday, Pacheco over 18.5 yards receiving. That's the one of all these that I'm about to give you. That's the one that's the toughest one. But then the next one is Josh Allen, 43.5. That parlay pays plus 38.11 as of right now. $10 would get you $381.
It's a nice day.
That's a nice
By the
day.
way, shout out CeeDee Lamb for hitting that last catch last weekend. Turned a bad weekend into a good one. And shout out to Bert Kreischer today for getting the weekend started for us.
The weekend started, man. It's
Let's,
a glorious day already.
Let's chat later. I'll talk to you later. We'll follow up on these picks and get our wagers in, man.
Sounds like a plan, my man.